Sports. It is a beautiful weekend, beautiful day, beautiful month to be a sports fan. There has been a lot of really great sporting events, whether it's sports you love or sports you're just finding yourselves to get into for the first time over the last 5 days. I mean, there has been champions crowned. There has been hope given to countries. There has been fights on the White House lawn. I mean, there has been a lot of really good sports stuff in the last few days. Obviously, we did our World Cup spectacular last weekend with Mr. Patrick Fagan joined us and broke down everything. Scott, you actually knew more about World Cup than I thought. Either whether it's reality or you just blowing smoke out of everybody's butt. And then obviously,
I officiate soccer. Don't forget that.
I know. The Carolina Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup. This will be the only hockey talk that they get. But a champion was crowned in the sport. The White House fights last night were awesome. Just some really great fights. And it's not a political thing as to why I watched it. I think it's cool. I think the celebration, I think being at the White House is cool. It doesn't matter who the president is or was doing it. And I like UFC, so I really enjoy it. And it was a great card, and it was fun. I really enjoyed all those fights. We can talk about a little bit. And then, obviously, the New York Knicks won a championship on Saturday night, their first one in 53 years. So we will talk Knicks, we'll talk some FIFA, we'll talk some UFC White House fights. But before we get into that, we do have one sport to talk about, and that is American football. There are two big American football stories. Obviously, Brendan Sorsby is one of them, but I have one more for you. Do you know the other big American football story that happened over the weekend?
I may have heard it, but remind me.
The Galleon football Tigers coached the South team in the NCFCA All-Star game. So we got to do that Friday night. That was a lot of fun. We were selected to do that this year. We had a pretty good season. We had 8 seniors.
I heard Ray J tore it up, right?
Ray J tore it up. So we had 8 seniors. I got to have 3 Marion Harding boys, Lucas, Landon Keller, then Ray J also. We had some kids from Cardington, Mount Gilead, Loudonville, a bunch of schools from around the area. Some Ontario kids, one Colonel Crawford kid. It was a lot of fun. We had a great week of doing practice. That was fun to practice this week with some kids. Obviously, like when you're coaching during the summer, June, July, with your camp days and stuff, it's a lot of you have your seniors that know the system, but you have freshmen, you have sophomores, first time players. And you're critiquing everything. You are coaching up everything. The week of an All-Star game, you obviously don't have that. But, some Clear 4 kids. These Clear 4 kids were fun. These kids, they pick it up so quick. The Eli Snyder from River Valley, these kids pick up so quick what they're doing because they're good football players. They're smart kids. And obviously you're not critiquing every single thing that they're doing. Hey, run this route how you've been coached to do it. We're just teaching you how to run our route and how the timing of it will adjust a little bit. But that was a lot of fun. And then Friday night game time comes. And everybody got to play. I thought everybody played a lot. A kid from Lucas, a kid from Mansfield Senior. Just trying to shout out everybody as much as I can remember. A lot of fun. Ray J absolutely balled out. Had touchdown called back. Had touchdown. Had 2 picks. Had a blocked field goal. Ray J was offensive MVP. And the South team coached by the Galleon Tigers. I'm just a little pawn and little fish in the big pond. But we got to do it. It was a lot of fun. And I think if you ask all of the coaches afterwards, we would say, it was worth doing. It was maybe a lot of work, especially Coach Six, and just a lot of work to get things going. But once we got to do it, you enjoyed it for what it was. It was cool to kind of get back to the kids around this area. And got the W. So the Tiger staff is 1-0 in the All-Star game.
There you go for the All-Star game. I had the fortune of having Ray J play softball for me one year, and he's a great athlete, and he's really good for me and very respectful to me, and so I was happy to have him, that's for sure. But he's a good kid to me. So yeah.
Obviously, there's 11 kids from this that meant more to me than some of the other schools. Obviously, our 8 of our 15 seniors got to play, and that was awesome to get one more week, one more game. With those boys, that was fun. But then for me, getting to have Lucas and Landon, who 2 boys I had in class. Landon my very first year, Lucas my second year. I never had Ray J in class, but a lot of conversations with him over the last 4 years, and all 3 of them, did a really great job of coming in and having fun. And Lucas got into a little bit of a scuffle with the kid, and then he got a personal foul and I had to go. I said something to him. I said like, "Well, I fought for you to get here. Don't do it." Like, it was fun. It was all good fun, and to have those three, to get to coach those three also, because only won against them. It was cool to win one with them for once. So,
with them,
shout out,
yeah, it's cool.
Shout out Lucas, shout out Landon, shout out Ray J, and then shout out all our Galleon boys I got to do it, and then shout out everybody else. It was a lot of fun. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and if Tigers get the call again in a few years, I think we'll do it.
And I've played. I remember growing up and like playing baseball and stuff. I made all-star teams and stuff, and so in Mount Vernon we had 3 ballparks, and each ballpark would have their own all-star team. You know what I mean? And so you'd be practicing, with these kids that, you played against most of the time, and it was really cool. And I remember that as a kid, and I really enjoyed that. So, it's a cool thing. Good experience.
Yep, we had a lot of fun. Obviously, then Sorsby case. There's been some breaking news right before we got on here. I was a little upset last week with the whole ruling. I obviously want Texas Tech to be as good as possible. They put a lot of money into Sorsby. He's their only quarterback. With him at the helm, they are the favorites to win the Big 12, right? Make the college football playoff and have a chance to win a national championship. And I think that when he gets caught betting on his own team while he was in Indiana and having this big betting scandal, the history of sports has been if he only bet on like college basketball and NBA and everything else, then there should be some type of program where I could see Texas Tech be like, hey, we care about this kid, we were trying to help him out, blah, blah, whatever. At the end of the day, we're trying to win football games too. I could see some work around it. But with the moment it comes out that he bet on Indiana while he was at Indiana or any college football game in general, that's when it's like you can't play. And so he gets told no, and then he gets this judge in Texas says yes, and then it turns into like he's gonna play. And I was real upset about that. I was shocked by it as well. But I was upset. As I was texting people about it, I don't think it was fair. And then obviously just this few minutes ago, breaking news that he's going to be entering the supplemental draft. Yep.
Yeah.
So the way, and just for everybody that doesn't know, the way supplemental draft goes is it's like a blind bidding. If you're the Browns and I'm the Steelers and we both want him, we will submit. I'll get next year's 2027 draft a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick or whoever. Terrell Pryor went in the 2nd round.
Yeah,
the 6th
famously.
Round. Yep.
Yeah,
and there's been a few, but there has been a whole lot since then. So we'll see where he ends up playing in the NFL. I think he'll just be a backup anywhere that he goes this year. But it ended up working itself out to where we didn't have to be to the point of like, this is absurd, this is going to ruin college football, this, that. Because what that judge did was tarnish the game of college football for a little bit.
Well, and if people don't know, so yeah, you're right. It'd be one thing if he were betting on games or sports, okay, but he's betting on your own sport you're playing in, and then you're betting on your own team. It's like, wait a minute.
He was betting the unders. He bet the unders of his teammates.
But Pete Rose, his entire, he did some other things that tarnished but his baseball career has been tarnished. This is the greatest hitter of all time. And he's not in the Hall of Fame because of betting. Even a little bit. And here this kid, they're like, well, it's going to harm his mental health and he has anxiety and he's going to really suffer from that. It's like, yeah, that's called consequence. So the real quick rundown, there was a judge in charge of the case. He recused himself. So this judge takes over, Klein, I think his name or something like that. And he made the ruling, which was stupid. And now it goes to the Court of Appeals, and I think there's 4 justices on that. And all 4 justices are Texas Tech alum. It's like, what is going on? It's completely skewed.
And the NCAA was going to appeal it, and it wasn't going to happen until after the national championship. Like, it was just the whole timing of all of it. And you and I have talked so much over the last year since you've joined me on doing this and what I was doing beforehand. College football is so great come game day, but all the bullcrap in between is so broken right now, and something needs to change for this to be able to be fixed, because the fact that some judge, a Texas Tech alum or a Texas guy, can be like, everything the NCAA just said is a bunch of bullcrap, you can play, and there's nothing that they can do about it, or they can.
That's terrible.
You have to wait till after it's over. It's awful for the sport. So Sorsby, I think this is him doing the right thing, whether it's him doing the right thing on purpose or him just not wanting to be a distraction for himself or Texas Tech. Him doing this is putting the big boy shoes on, the big boy pants, and saying, like, this is not worth it for you guys. I don't want to put – and Texas Tech obviously needs to figure out the quarterback situation. Then you got to get their next guy ready. And so –
And, you think about, the distraction that is in the heat that and that's the thing where it's like for the judge to say, oh yeah, well, he's got anxiety and da-da-da. It's like, wait a minute. Okay. So mental health is an issue. Now you literally put the biggest bullseye potentially in college sports history on this kid's back. That, in my opinion, that's irresponsible on the judge's part. It's like, no, you literally just made it worse for him by declaring him eligible. So what you think you were doing to help him is actually the worst possible thing you could have done. And so you're right. I think it's worked itself out. I hope. I guess we'll find out if he actually, correct.
I think, and here's the thing, like, and Pete Rose is obviously like the poster child of like betting on sports is bad, right? As an athlete, betting on your sport, and there have been betting scandals pre Pete Rose, and there's been plenty after, and there will continue to be more. But Pete Rose is
Shohei Ohtani. Sorry,
like you said, Pete Rose is the greatest hitter in all of baseball history. He's been banned for so long, and now that he's gone, I think they're gonna reinstate him, right? Like that's been kind of they talked about that
maybe,
but even so, like people have always been like, well, he bet on his team, like he bet on his team to win, which is much better than betting against them, like But at the same time,
sure.
like, you can't. Same with Sorsby, like you can't bet on your team whether you bet for them or against them, even if you're not playing, because if you don't bet every game, you only bet like Pete Rose. There's 162 games in a year. If you only bet half of them, are you saying the other games that you didn't bet on aren't as important to you because there's no financial, or if you're Sorsby and you bet on your team's under and you get in there, like the starting quarterback gets hurt, you're the backup, you gotta go in. There's just, or even the over. Like if you bet the over, like I believe in our dudes that we're gonna throw for 250 plus yards, and it gets to the point where it's like, hey, we need a game-winning drive. The smart pass is the check down. But I need 14 more yards. I'm going to throw a deep.
Right.
And now we've just...
Too much conflict of interest.
Yes. And so for people to try to, just justify Pete Rose and stuff, like, I see the big picture now that maybe I didn't see when as much as I was a kid. Again, if Sorsby had just bet on basketball and even maybe NFL and other things that were not college football, then I can understand that he has a betting addiction. If Texas Tech is truly trying to help him out,
$90,000.
Yes. If Texas Tech is truly trying to help him out, and there are steps in place, you still have a punishment. Like you said, there are consequences for your action. But if that's a half a season suspension or something along the lines to help the kid out, but also have consequence, but the moment it's your own sport, all bets are off. We can't help you out anymore.
$90,000. That's what a teacher makes towards the latter half of their career. $90,000 a year. You blew that in gambling? Yeah. I know, but latter half of your career.
Yeah.
Okay, clearly there's a gambling problem, but that's a lot of money. We're not talking oh no, I gambled $10,000. So now you're saying, okay, why are kids like this making so much money that they can afford to do that? You're right. The whole thing is just, it's a bad situation, and it has snowballed into something that was not intended to be. This was for kids to not get punished for getting a free pizza or, getting even a car, in their college career. But now we're throwing millions of dollars at these kids. It's and we think, oh, everything will be okay.
Well,
no,
and
it's just not.
Sports betting too, sports betting itself, there have always been in Vegas, there have always been people that can go into a sports book and sit there for hours upon hours and make a living off this. They are a special type of sports bettors. The average person, the reason sports betting is legalized is to put a couple dollars on here and there to make that game or that event more interesting. I have dabbled in my fair share of sports betting. I am an adult who is financially stable enough, and I'm well enough off to know, okay, I've spent too much, I have lost too much, or I've won enough. I'm going to deposit it back into an account and use this little bit. That is what sports betting is supposed to be, and so much I mean, think about like the whole Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups and all those things. Like that has blown up into maybe we expect or other people that expect to be able to win thousands of dollars, and that's just not the reality. Like we are not good enough as sports bettors. Sports is too. We don't know enough to be able to do that, and that's not the purpose to get rich. It's to make it a little bit more fun. And like since it's been legalized in Ohio, there have been many changes. Like in college football, you can't prop bet in college football anymore. Like you can't go on there and say Jeremiah Smith's going to have 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 yards. You can still do that NFL. You can still do the NBA. I like doing that for NFL. I like putting down, I'm making a little bit of a parlay. I think Mahomes is going to throw for 225, and Rashee Rice is going to have 50 yards, and the running back's going to do this. And we're getting closer and closer in Ohio and other states saying no more of that. It's just going to simply be over-unders, money lines, and spreads, which I don't like because I'm not like that's not where I'm good at. But people are so irresponsible.
It's not as fun.
It's not as, for me. Like it's just not where I enjoy. Yeah. Placing a few dollars, and it's the irresponsibility of others, and it's the people that like win. What's Ohio State's kicker? Fielding misses a kick. People go on there and I'm going to murder you. I'm going to murder you. Like that type of stuff. The irresponsibility of people and things that Sorsby is doing has caused it for people to. We're going to lose that. And DeWine has came out and already said like his biggest regret during his time has been legalized sports betting because he sees the problem that exists. Again, for maybe the bottom 10%, but that bottom 10% ruins it for the top 90%.
I'm gonna put my pastor hat on here. Used to. They're companies that sell vices make all their money off of addiction. Think about that. Whether it's drugs, no. Alcohol, no. Gambling, yeah. Pornography, yeah. Whatever you want to say it, or whatever someone's vice is, they make all their money off of addictions. It's the same principle as Vegas didn't get built on winners, right? And so they count on people's addictions to make them money, which is really sick and twisted, but that's what it is. So, yeah, the responsible people, yeah, sure, I might lose 100, 200, maybe even up to, a few $100s, fine. But it's the people that have problems where they don't know how to stop. And that's why they have, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLING, they have to have that on there. But you think the people who are addicted to gambling are going to be like, oh yeah, I have a gambling problem. Hello, I have a gambling problem. They're not going to do that crap. It's the sad reality of what's supposed to be fun can get morphed into something worse, and that's unfortunate.
Yep. So let's move on to the better subjects of life. Obviously, sure. You said you didn't watch the UFC 250. Paramount Plus is not available, but I did watch it. I do like UFC. I'm not gonna act like I'm this major UFC, but I do know enough, and I think that there were some really good fights last night. Almost won some money on that, but O'Malley, a really great win, and then Gaethje. I'm sure you've seen some type.
I saw some, yeah. Yep.
Gaethje with the biggest upset of the night, and that the other dude's face. Did you see it?
It was bloody pulp.
He's not gonna see anything for the next few days. Those eyes gonna be some very smooth shot. But that was a cool moment. And again, I said
Rocky.
It's not a political thing by any means. Whoever was president, if they put this on, it would have been awesome. America's 250th celebration, all that. That's what they're selling it all as. But it was just a cool scene. It was really awesome. It was really put together well by the UFC and Dana White. And Conor McGregor comes back July 11th for the first time in like 5 years. And any type of Conor McGregor outside of UFC, I think is a terrible human being, annoying person, don't like anything about it. But for the sport in that moment, I am all Conor McGregor all the time. I am so excited, so looking forward to this fight. If you are home July 11th and you got nothing going on, you want to come over, you are more than welcome to come over. We'll be playing some cards and we'll be watching some UFC. And to get UFC 250 and Conor McGregor back to back, I'm excited, man. I really am. The sport's in a good place. Obviously, like we said, the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup. Do you have any thoughts on the Stanley Cup real quick?
It's crazy. The Las Vegas Knights are a pretty new organization, and And here they are. They've won a Stanley Cup. They've gotten second place. They've done some great things.
In 10
And
years.
what the heck are the Columbus Blue Jackets doing? It's embarrassing. And it's just like, it is so frustrating to watch professional sports in Ohio. Because it's just like, the Crew have won some championships. The Cavs won in 16. There's been some good things, but it's like I don't want to say popular sports, but the big popular sports, baseball is kind of choked. Football, it's comical. And then hockey is, so it's just like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for a hockey fan.
It's a good.
Yeah, correct.
If you're Ohio sports only fan, luckily I'm a Steelers fan. You are a Packers fan. If you are a Ohio diehard sports only fan, luckily you have Ohio State. You have the Buckeyes to make life a little bit easier.
Here's a little twist on that. So I have cousins that grew up in Decatur, Alabama. Okay, we'd always go down there, and this was like in the '90s, and we were little kids, and they are big Atlanta Braves fans. Okay, because that's the closest thing to them, and at the time, Auburn and Alabama, those are the kings there for football. They were kind of meh, but the Braves, they were really good. So even though it wasn't their thing, it was like, oh, we're going to hang our hat on that because that's like the closest thing to it. And the Braves were really good there in that decade for most of the years. And so, you kind of do have that where it's like, if they didn't have the Braves at that time, they would have been a disappointed fan base for a lot of things, So you're right. At least we do have the Buckeyes where it's like they're contending for things most of the time, So
yeah. All right. Let's get into the last two sports stories that we have. Obviously, the first one is FIFA. We'll save the Knicks for the Knicks get a lot of our time. FIFA has started. We did our recap last week, and USA won the other night 4-1. Dominated Paraguay.
Wow, and I didn't expect that.
If you, I'm a big Pat McAfee fan. Pat McAfee is a soccer dude. Like, he played soccer growing up, and he has a small role in soccer, and I think that he knows more about soccer than what I do, and he is very much on the hype train of like, hey, the United States played really well, and we can expect some good things for them. And Spain had a big tie. Was it earlier today or yesterday? Earlier today.
Today.
With somebody that they should have dominated. According to the experts, this is according to
experts. And Uruguay tied. Listen, I've been more. Japan tied. There have been more surprises. I don't want to call it upsets. We got my dog here. Hey, buddy.
Hi, Cosmo.
There's been more surprises in the World Cup. I don't want to call them upsets, okay? Because they haven't always been wins, but there's been a lot of surprises in this World Cup, and it's going to be very interesting. I know Iran is playing right now, and there's obviously a lot of eyes on Iran and how they play, and there's issues with them getting into the country, blah 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 blah. But I tell you what, though, United States, they did look solid. Maybe Spain has some growth that they need to do, because I thought Spain was going to be obviously the best team. I'm interested to see how France goes. Belgium even tied today. There's been some games not go as I thought they would go, and like Bosnia tied Canada. I'm like, oh, like Canada, you're a host country, and you have to play a country that doesn't even have their own country. They have to share it with another country, and you tied. So it's fun. That's why the game is great, and every goal counts. So it's not like football where it's like, oh, you can score a touchdown real quick or something like that. It's just every goal counts, and that's what makes it great. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's why it's boring. I understand, but that's why it's so great. And we'll see what happens. See what happens.
I have not watched it as much as I said I was gonna. We did watch the second half after the game the other night of the United States one. But I have been scoreboard watching. I have been watching what has been going on. So watching the game, still just trying to. We had it on yesterday until the UFC started. Trying to get into it, but yeah.
I was watching the Talking Heads on TV, and they were talking about Portugal, and they were like, Ronaldo should not be playing. So even they were like, why is Cristiano Ronaldo even play? And it was interesting. It's like, yeah, we were kind of all saying the same thing. So.
All right, I think the biggest story in sports right now, with all these champs and all that's going on, is obviously the NBA Finals is over. The NBA has crowned a champion, and that champion for the first time in 53 years is the New York Knickerbockers. The Knicks beat the Spurs in 5. Obviously, Game 4 was just an unbelievable 29-point comeback by the Knicks.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby tip in with like 1.4 seconds left.
Amazing.
A great decision by Brunson to shoot the deep 3 to give time for any offensive rebound. And the Spurs had chance after chance after chance to win that game, tie it 2-2 to go back to San Antonio Game 5, and the Knicks just didn't allow it. It's not like this is fluky by the Knicks. They did it versus the Cavs early on in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. But to do it the way they did, to come back and win that game, and then to do it again in Game 5, like Game 5, the Spurs had like a 16-point lead in the second quarter, and the Knicks just chip away, and find ways to win. And again, the Spurs had chances with that one to tie it up and not give the Knicks momentum, and they just couldn't do it. And
You're right.
Obviously, every time there's a champion, everybody wants to overreact. Like, this is one of the greatest teams of all time. I don't think this Knicks team is one of the greatest teams of all time.
No.
But this postseason, they have been so good and so dominant, and they truly deserve to be champions. And Jalen Brunson is an absolute dog. He was a 2-time national champion at Villanova. He won Player of the Year while he was at Villanova. He is an NBA champion. He is an NBA Finals MVP. Jalen Brunson is an absolute dog. But this is not
Hall of
just
Famer.
him.
At this point, he's a Hall of Famer.
100%, he is a Hall of Famer. I still obviously would take Luka over him. I would take Shea over him. He's not a top 3 point guard in the league. You'd still take Steph Curry over him. But pound for pound, when you needed a basket, you needed a bucket this series, it was him. I would have given Anunoby the MVP going into Game 5. I thought Jalen was just a little too. The shooting percentage was a little too low. Now, when you needed a big shot in the fourth quarter, he delivered. But throughout the game, it was taking him so long. Anunoby was hitting 3 after 3 after 3 all series and then had the tip in. And I thought it was his Finals MVP to lose. And then Jalen Brunson went and scored 45 and said, like, I am not going to risk this to chance for you guys. So, like, I'll just figure it out and you will come along with me. And everybody did. Josh Hart, Anunoby, Cat, who games 4 and 5, Cat did not get to play very much at all. He was in foul trouble for 2 whole games. But not a single one of those guys like pouted. And we were texting during Game 4 a little bit. Jordan Clarkson was awful. One other dude. Shamit was like, just the guys weren't hitting. Unless you were a starter, you weren't making shots. And Mike Brown kept them all in. He believed in his guys. He kept them all in, and they just played and played and played and played. And they all made plays when it counted. And this Knicks team absolutely deserves some of the championship. This is not a knock on the Spurs. The Knicks are truly that good and deserve it.
And the thing is, good for Mike Brown, because Mike Brown took a lot of heat at Cleveland.
Fired twice by the Cavs.
And how he coached those teams. And so he finally was able to get his pound of flesh by winning this title. And so first of all, because there's a couple times where I'm like, oh my gosh, Mike Brown's going to choke, Jack Cachuro's happy shooter's going to choke, is kind of thing.
Think about this for Mike Brown real quick.
Getting it done.
The Knicks fired Thibodeau last season after losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they tried to get this guy and they couldn't. They missed. And it almost felt like they settled on Mike Brown and ended up being the guy that was able to deliver a championship to him. And you're right, happy for Mike Brown. He two stints with the Cavs, the Lakers, Sacramento, and every single time he almost it could be a LeBron thing in some parts of it, but didn't get a real shot with the Lakers. I thought the Knicks or the Kings they got rid of him too quick, and the Knicks gave him a chance, and he's 1 for 1 now.
Here's a thing that was a dig at Mike Brown when he was in Cleveland, and it was that Mike Brown did not respond. He did not make changes. He was just kind of a deer in the headlights. But ironically, that's what helped him in New York. And he decided not to put too many ingredients in the stew and it actually ended up helping him in a lot of regards. And so yeah, I mean, his system worked this time, and it was enough to get himself a ring. Good job, good for him. And the thing with Brunson, what makes Brunson, just watching him after he distributes the ball, his movement, he likes to he flanks out on the wing really hard, or he'll go in and then jet out. And that movement in that inside the offense was just it was just great. It looked like really good offense. And even though you got great defense in the Spurs, the Knicks just made it look like a very average defense sometimes. And the Spurs had huge leads, and they just kept blowing it every time,
All 5
man.
games. All 4 losses
Crazy.
to a double-digit lead.
And so you start saying, like, okay, so is that a coaching problem? You know, like, they're biting the curb, and you're getting ready to stomp their head in, and you just decide to go eat a sandwich. What are you doing,
Mitch Johnson, this series was very similar to what you said with Mike Brown in 07 with LeBron. By the way, Mike Brown, you know where he was born? Columbus, Ohio. He is a Columbus native.
Him and Buster Douglas,
kid.
Baby.
Yep. And so Mitch Johnson this series as head coach, young coach, and people were like, you gotta fire him, you gotta fire him, you gotta fire him. If the Spurs go back to the finals next year and it's the same thing, then I get it 100%. Like, hey, you're the guy that can get us there but not pass. They're just young. They're young and they're inexperienced, and they all need to figure it out. And Wemby before this series, I think was very liked by a lot of people. And I was rooting for the Knicks because I am not a Spurs fan by any means. The Knicks haven't won 153 years. I like Jalen Brunson. I don't want to hate Wemby, but Wemby made it really hard on himself to be likable this series. I think he plays very dirty. I think he gets away with so much because he knows how good he is, and he knows that he is the NBA's golden boy. And he is so lucky that he did not get his 4th flagrant foul on and I know people are saying that Brunson is unnatural movement, but I don't think so. I don't think that Brunson was that egregious with putting his feet out. I think Wembyama, and I don't think it's like with an intent to hurt anybody for the most part. I think it's just like he's so big and he's using his elbows to play basketball, and you can't do that in this era of elbows to the head, and when everything is on camera and reviewable. And but it was it was so much that it was dirty. And I think that like he to Mitchell Robinson, Game 4, said like, I'm in your head, and then they go blow a 29-point lead. Like you just made yourself unlikable. And the NBA needs a villain, and the NBA needs somebody to not like. And I know the NBA doesn't want to be Wembanyama, but right now he's making it to where it's going to be him. He has become unlikable this series, and he is really good. But he is not perfect, and he is not flawless like a lot of people thought he was going into this series. He shot very poorly, especially the second half of every single one of these games. And even his teammates, like De'Aaron Fox, who is a good player, played awful this series. I mean, De'Aaron Fox, you get the steal Game 4. If you dribble it out, you give him no time. Instead, he goes for the layup. It gets blocked. You get the Knicks a chance again. Dylan Harper, absolute dog Game 5. If he would have played like that every single game, then maybe they don't blow all those leads. Stephon Castle, just invisible during Game 5. It's a very young team, and Wembanyama himself just can't do it all. But he also, like, pumped the brakes on him being one of the greatest players of all time just yet, because he really is far off from being to the point where he can be that someday. He can be a great player. But as of right now, like, he's still very far away from knocking at the door of being able to say, I can be one of the greats someday.
It's here with him. He will do things that he thinks he's in control here, but he's not. And so he'll make stupid mistakes or do stupid things, a.k.a. make a pass to the back, even though I understand why he did it. But just stuff 100%. Like that where it's like... And here's the thing. Throwing out some old school names. Now, he's not Bill Laimbeer. He's not that unlikable, rough. He's
he's no Dennis Rodman. He's no Draymond Green.
No. But you know who he reminds me of from the Bad Boys is Rick Mahorn. And Rick Mahorn was a really physical guy who would do Rodman kind of things, but less dirty. And he was kind of unlikable. And you see that with Wemby some where you're like, or kind of like I don't want to even say like a meta world peace or on our test, but just kind of that thing where it's like, you know, you're kind of a douche, you know, and it's not a good look, and I don't think companies want him to be like that because that's not marketable for them. But you're right. The NBA does need a villain because Draymond Green's on the way out, and they need someone to take that role as if it's like WWE or something, right? But the thing is, the Spurs got so many calls in their favor. The officiating was so pro San
And this
Antonio.
is coming from you. Weren't you rooting for the Spurs?
Yeah, I would like
really
Spurs,
care,
but
yeah.
I didn't really care. I mean, the Knicks, it's someone new winning. I get it. That's cool. And I remember the Knicks teams of the 90s, and they were great teams, and unfortunately the Bulls were always in the way, right? But Spurs, I respect that organization. There's been a lot of greats go through there, the Admiral Duncan, all that stuff. And I don't particularly like Popovich, but you got to respect the guy for what he's done.
Well,
and so it's like, yeah. And so, it's like, but this was so clearly pro Spurs officiating, and it still didn't help them. That tells you right there that the New York Knicks were the team of destiny. And just call it what it is. They're the team of destiny, and even despite that. So, do you fire the coach for the Spurs? Absolutely not, because you're running up against a buzzsaw. Yep. Yeah, he's running up against a buzzsaw. They're a team of destiny. Sorry.
So the Knicks winning makes 8 champions in 8 years. So this is by far the longest streak in NBA history. Whether it's good or bad for the game is a debate for another day. But we've had since Warriors, Cavs, Warriors. It has been Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics, Thunder, Knicks. That is 8 in a row. So if we get one of those champs within this frame, it resets. Very early, who do you think wins it next year? Does it become 9 new ones? Do the Knicks go back to back? Do one of those teams from the last 8 years get it done? Give me your prediction.
Yeah, clearly the Cavaliers are going to have to change their roster up a little bit. Allen can't do everything on his own and everything else. And so, there's I don't think they're going to, unless they draft something or trade something. So you're looking at Boston. There's too much internal strife there in that team right now. Something would have to change there. So honestly, you're probably looking like a potential Knicks would have a good run at it from the East. And from the West, I mean, there's a lot of factors in there. The Spurs are always going to be good.
Very early prediction.
But, the Lakers, if they're healthy, they're going to be really solid too. So
the Lakers are going to make some moves this offseason. They're going to be a different team going forward. Whether they lose LeBron or Reeves or re-sign guys or make trades, they are going to be a different team. I think it's looking like Giannis is going to go to the Celtics. I'm going to say right now, as a Lakers fan, I'm going to say Lakers Celtics in the finals. LeBron gets his last one before he goes off. Before he gets the Celtics, it's going to get one more. If it's not that, I do really think that there's a good chance that we get a Knicks Spurs rematch, and it's really hard to beat the same team 2 times in a row.
OKC is really good too, still though.
Yes, OKC is really good. But again, the head game that you said for Wemby, Wemby does have that over Chet, and I do think the Spurs are going to get one eventually. I'm going to say right now that the Spurs do get it next year. That's 9 different teams in 9 different years, over the Knicks. But it's this again. We're calling this on June 15th. I'm not trying to I think it'd be a good.
It's fun.
I'm not rooting. I won't root. I literally would root for the Knicks to go back to back. I hate the Spurs that much, and I love Brunson that much. But
it's funny how growing up for me, it was everyone was like a Bulls fan, and then everyone kind of liked the Rockets for a couple years, and then there was a period of time where all the kids were like, I'm a Warriors fan. It's like, yeah, you don't even know where Oakland is. So it's like it's one of those things where all these little kids like, who's your favorite team? Who do you like? They're like, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm a Seahawks fan. Yeah, sure, kid, right? And so it's funny that lack of parity I think it makes the game more interesting from just a fan point of view. It just makes it more unpredictable, and I think that's good for the game.
It gives
Personally,
everybody
that's
hope.
what I think.
It gives
Correct.
every team some
Yep.
hope.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Hey, one final question, Knicks wise. Who is the greatest Knick in Knicks history? Is it Jalen Brunson? Rick Brunson said no, but I think it's Jalen, man. I think that he delivered you a championship in an era where there's 30 teams. It took 53 years. Patrick Ewing is great, man, but Jalen Brunson is the greatest Knick of all time. Ewing could be a better player all time, but when it comes to being a Knick, Jalen Brunson is the greatest Knick of all time.
I think you're. Gosh, I'm gonna do a Google search, because I could live with that. Walt Frazier was really good, man.
Speaking of Walt Frazier, can somebody start dressing him, please? I can't watch him wear his goofy suits anymore. I can't do it. I can't watch Clyde Frazier wear those suits anymore. There's some great Knicks, man. Clyde Frazier, obviously Ewing, Melo,
Frazier.
It's Jalen Brunson, man.
It's so difficult, trying to pick out GOATs for even sports, much less organizations. You run into, okay, what was the game like? And I tell you what, Frazier and them, and like they won a couple titles. You know what I mean? So
they won two. Yep.
So you start saying like, now if Brunson wins next year again, that's a discussion. I think.
All right. We are at 41 minutes. It is time for your CamDog's conversations for the week.
By the way, Blockbuster. I went to the last Blockbuster in Oregon. Shout out.
Did you bought that shirt? I was wondering. I just figured you had it from 1992.
No, $22, man. I would take the shirt off and show you the back, but I don't even like seeing myself naked, much less everyone else. All right, here we go. You ready? Olive Garden. Ready? Olive Garden. Mm-hmm. Is it better at the place or reheated the next day?
Oh, this is easy. Olive Garden is much better when it's at Olive Garden. I'm not a big reheat pasta fan. And so Olive Garden, when you're there and you get your salad and you get your breadsticks and you load up on all those and then you get a nice hot fresh pasta and he's like, you want cheese? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you tell me when. I'll tell you when, big dog. I'll tell you when. He just keeps going. And just leave it here. Just leave it here. I'll
take care from here.
I eat my pasta.
Calling the reliever.
I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it home. I want to eat it there. And fresh pasta.
Oh,
much better than reheat.
That's because you're a clean plate. You're a clean plate clubber.
You call me fat?
No, because I am too. Okay.
No, I eat leftovers. I'm the only person in my house that eats leftovers. Pasta leftover though. Just not a fan. Just not a fan.
Listen, when you have all that grease soaking into the noodles and you reheat it the next day, there's something. It's like chili. Chili's good by itself, but when you reheat chili like 2 days later and all that stuff is soaked into the beans and stuff, oh.
See, but I like
man,
Alfredo.
That's seventh heaven, man.
Alfredo's just doesn't reheat well. It's not a good one that reheats. So I don't know. Comment.
Are you a reheat guy or girl, or are you an original?
Nobody listens.
Oh, that's because you have to make the TikTok about it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, maybe I had some help doing all this stuff. My wife, every single time we go, they're like, do you want more salad? And we're like, no, I'm good. And she's like, well, yeah, you're right, but we'll take it home. And then she takes it home.
They put too much stuff in it.
She takes it home. She takes it home, and she doesn't eat it. And I'm like, I knew. She's like, I'll eat it. And salad even gets a little too soggy after 24 hours in that container. So I'm always like, no, we don't need the salad. We don't need more salad. You're not gonna reheat it. You're not gonna.
And they put too much stuff in the salad anyway. It's like I'm waiting for them to bring the salad and there's Matchbox cars and I don't know, bowling balls, and they're like, oh, we had another thing in your salad. I want salad. I don't want everything else to be most of the bowl. Yeah.
When it's just me and her, we can go and say, hey, no olives, no onion. We don't need them. They put too much onion. I like some onion. They put far too much. No olives, no onion. You could have the pepperoncinis. I'll eat the tomatoes because I love tomatoes. Oh, yeah.
There you go, folks.
Hey, next week, we are aiming to do a Monday show again. I will be in Michigan Sunday night. I will be home Monday. We'll do a Monday show. Then we'll get back to our Sundays for Scott because he's an old man he lives a busy life. Hey, we are getting closer and closer to the time where my life is going to be far too busy to do a podcast anymore. I don't want our days to be numbered, but there's always a chance that we might take a week or two off. So we'll see how that goes going forward.
What? But how are we going to get sponsors?
I don't know. You might have to do some work on your own, pal.
Get the blockbuster.
All right.
There you go.
America, it has been an absolute pleasure this evening doing this with you.
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
Jamal, take it out.
Because if you go piss like a puppy, stay on the porch and let the big dogs eat.